This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. We're going to have we will get to having a fun show, kind of starting off on a bit of a bummer note with some brutal news in the industry. It kind of feels like February 9th, 2021 here in Winnipeg. That, of course, was the day that Bell Media decided to turn the lights off at our former home, TSN 1290. They did the same to the station in Hamilton and to TSN 1040 in Vancouver. Now, that was a tough day for everyone involved. It did lead us to our new spot here at Winnipeg Sports Talk, and for that, we're incredibly thankful the way everything has gone on. And actually, this will give me an opportunity to thank all of you that have been with us, many of you since the first day we came on the air on the 8th of March, 2021. And a special thanks to the people that believed in this format, in this content, especially our sponsors that have made this now a successful venture into our 6th year. But I am feeling absolutely terrible for the individuals out in Vancouver, and especially the guys in Calgary, Pat Steinberg, Logan Gordon, guys that I have done hours and hours of shows with, both on 960, as well as going on their programs and them coming on ours. So thinking about them today and everyone that is out of work. I do know that, there's a lot of really talented people there. And they will find their way. But this is just a brutal, brutal day for Canadian sports, radio, the industry overall that Rogers just pulled out. And it's got big-time ramifications on the NHL broadcast. We'll talk about that in a minute when I bring Michael Remis in. We will get to some puck talk. I can't wait to get down to Southern California and talk to Dennis Bernstein, get the pulse on the Ducks disastrous situation right now, as well as what he's hearing on the NHL offseason. Brandon Rewucki is going to join us. We'll dive into a potential Cole Perfetti contract. He, of course, did file for arbitration as was expected over the course of the weekend. We'll hit that as well as discuss Vigo Mania and more. And we're going to talk to Mike Raimbault, head coach of the Sea Bears. They got some big home games coming up as they get into the stretch of their season. Mike Raimbault coming on, and we'll bring on Jake Bowen-Moss from Coolbet a little bit later on. As I mentioned, this program, this content does not happen every day without the support of some incredible sponsors. Many of us have been with us for 3, 4, 5 years or more. Our partners at Coolbet Canada, we could not do this without them, as well as Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, Manitoba Battery and Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Royal and BP been with us since day one of this program back in 2021. Little Brown Jug as well. Of course, the Gold Eyes, Assiniboia Downs, Rowley's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, and the Knott Boys have been there too. We will get to a why not question of the day for Knott Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. In between doing the lock shop and getting all this brutal news about the industry, we did just have an absolutely historic comeback by Argentina in the World Cup. 10 minutes to go in the game. They were down 2-0 to Argentina. I was actually doing the lock shop with Dusty and noticed that they were 19-1 to win in regulation. That's exactly what happened. They scored 2 quick goals, got another one in extra time, and the Argentines move on with a stunning 3-2 win over the Egyptians. We'll talk a little World Cup later, but let's get Michael Remis in here. And Reem, this news today, man, it hits close to home. We know a lot of these guys. We've worked with them in the past. I think of Halford and Brough, who were with TSN 1040 the first time this happened in the Vancouver market, and now they're victims of it again. And for the billions and billions of dollars that a company like Rogers makes and invests in sports, it's an absolutely stunning decision, and I can't really wrap my head around it, to be honest.
Yeah, and it was announced yesterday that Rogers was buying the remaining stake in Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment for $4.35 billion, and then the next day closing sports radio stations and other, news radio stations across the country, but notably to us, Vancouver, Sportsnet. What is it? I don't care about the number anymore. Sportsnet 650, and the one in Calgary as well. And we've had, Mike Halford and Jason Brough, colleagues with them at TSN Radio. Pat Steinberg's been on our program, did it pretty much every job there at the Calgary station. And you're right, these stations, drive content, keep people interested, and they're basically marketing. And I said, I'm not a sports radio executive, Huss, but I said after, isn't there a way you could preserve, if you're not broadcasting on radio, preserve the social media accounts and do something digitally? I don't understand just shutting down the whole thing. You have podcast feeds, you have a brand. There's certainly something there in a way that can generate revenue, but just to pull the plug just like that, you're sad for the listeners, it disrupts their routine, and of course the employees who gave so much for nothing as well. It did, I said when we got laid off, it did feel like an execution almost, where they called us to the conference call and said, yeah, it's over. And it's kind of sad that the same playbook was followed here, where it's just unannounced, taking it off the air, calling everyone for a 10 a.m. conference call, and that's it. And I don't know, why it has to be, that way, but that's the way they decided to do it. And I don't know, got to fund the purchase of MLSE, I guess. But again, when you have the rights, these drive so much conversation about, could drive about Rogers properties or about the teams, and we'll have to see what happens. Interestingly enough, the radio broadcast of the Canucks will remain on some Vancouver station, and Calgary, they announced that they're not even going to have the Calgary, they're not going to produce the Calgary Flames radio anymore. So, we're pretty lucky here that, Paul Edmonds is still doing the Jets, still traveling on the road. And, for us, we've been able to thrive in this space. Maybe this will be the start of something for someone in Calgary or Vancouver as well. But sad seeing so many jobs lost across the country.
Yeah, listen, there's no 2 ways about it. This is, to think, I'm just going to focus in on Vancouver for a minute. They're hosting the freaking World Cup right now. There's a game this afternoon in the round of 16 in the World Cup. The golden goal happened in Vancouver. It's the second biggest market in the country. It is a huge sports town. They've got National Hockey League, MLS. Many people have said it would be a great spot for a Major League Baseball expansion team. And now they've lost 2 sports stations. And, I really feel for Halford and Brough. They were at TSN when this first happened, landed on their feet at the news station, and now got clipped again. Of course, Matt Sakaris and Blake Price have done a great job, similar to us, in 2021, taking their content to a digital platform and succeeding quite well with it. But man, and you know what the thing that really kills me, Reem, obviously we're a little older now, and I'm older than you, and I've had lucky enough to kind of got a start in the business when it wasn't as much of a disaster as it is today. But I guarantee you that there are a group of 23, 24, 26, 27-year-old guys that are working in those stations that were getting paid absolute peanuts, probably hustling, doing other gigs outside of their work hours there because they love the opportunity to talk about sports and to be involved in it. And, thought that, this hard work right now, sucking it up, getting paid nothing would lead to the opportunity to do that and be successful. And the opportunities just keep on disappearing unless you create them for yourselves at this point. Now, Halford and Brough, I would imagine, will be able to take their content to a digital spot quite easily. I mean, I think, when you have a following like that, people are going to want to see you succeed. They're going to want to follow you to where you're at. So I do think those guys will be well. I feel about, the guys, the ops, the guys behind the scenes, the young guys that might be getting their reps in the summer because people are on holidays. I mean, it's back to square one for them. And just quickly on the Calgary scene, I got a call from them the day after TSN 1290 shut down to come out and work in Calgary. And, very quickly, I thought that the best opportunity for me would be try to build off what I'd done at TSN 1290 and take advantage of the opportunity of the gap in the market with them shutting down. And obviously, Remis and I started Winnipeg Sports Talk and went there. But they gave me the opportunity to come on very shortly afterwards. And I was doing shows. That's still during the pandemic time. I mean, I'd do our program, I'd grab a bite, and then I'd go on for 3 hours with Steinberg in Calgary that entire summer. And it was great fun. I mean, great guys. It was a little different than not being in the studio, but sort of the way things went in the industry, it just seemed like that was the way things were going. But, dozens and dozens of hours with Pat. Logan Gordon, who I believe is a Winnipeg native, he a really talented young guy that, has now over the last 5 years kind of grown up, more prominent on the station. Where does he go next? So I just think about all those guys right now, Remo, and it, often, it brings me back to our group here in Winnipeg, of Joel Marcoux and Asor and Westy and, obviously Toast at OB, but, doing some non-sports stuff. I mean, it was so much fun, and it should work, and it does work. And it's just so frustrating that these multi-billion-dollar companies feel that it's basically they don't want to hire humans. Oh, these people are good they get a pension. They have to pay all this stuff for them. They just figure off they're better off without humans on the payroll, and that's why these stations have ceased to exist as of this morning.
Yeah, again, feel terrible for all the employees and, the fans lose out as well. And, we said, they don't care about any of the people, and it is disappointing. And I do think that there would be a way, to make, money providing content in some form. It doesn't have to be AM radio, which, is which I said is, kind of going extinct.
DEAD?
Extinct here. But, the world's changing. I saw last week the big news was Sony no longer going to have their games on discs for PlayStation after January 2028. So the world's changing, not necessarily for the better. I think someone in Vancouver, you think with a population of that size, there's a market for some type of sports content podcast network. And again, if you are a young person looking to get into the business, I do say it is probably easier than ever and less barriers to entry than ever, just doing it yourself on your phone. But the days of counting on some big corporation out there to, give you a biweekly paycheck, those days seemingly over.
Yeah, Peg City Scott says maybe radio makes no money. Listen, this is a content business, and you can call it radio. Like, the problem is these people were all old radio people, and they thought of it in radio terms as opposed to a content business that can be delivered in a bunch of different ways. Like the radio was where it started from. But I mean, I think like even when we finished up, I mean, the podcast downloads, of TSN programs, certainly like the afternoon ride, there was tons of people that, weren't tuning into the AM radio. They were either saying, hey, play it on my phone, or they were just downloading the podcast. And that's the way people get our show now, which really isn't a whole lot different than what we were doing, just the way that we're, putting it out to people. So, as I say, there will be a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of those people, but the lack of, it's just what blows my mind is that we know that you can make money at this. There is absolutely the demand for it. And to be honest with you, sports radio is like the money demo. It's like males, 25 to 54. I mean, that is the most in-demand demographic when it comes to advertising. So the fact that these companies just shut things down as opposed to making them work, and maybe at the end of the day, unfortunately, Remis, this could just come down to straight up greed. These radio stations make money, but not enough as your cell phone or some of the other things that these companies are in. And as I mentioned, the cost of having humans employed adds a whole nother thing, and they don't want to do it anymore. But I do wonder whether there'll be any more radio. Like Edmonton's interesting. I mean, obviously Dusty and the guys started at EST. And, they broadcast on their stream and on YouTube. But the Nielsen show in the morning is now on an FM dial. I mean, Gregor took his program and started Sports 1440, which is on it's on AM radio. And to be honest, the signal's not great. I would imagine the majority of people are getting it through YouTube or through elsewhere. But that Edmonton market does have something in addition. Obviously here, it's been more of a digital renaissance, what WST's done. I mean, obviously Illegal Curve's been here forever, and they continue to put out great content. Kenny and Rennie, have added things to, with post-game stuff and occasional shows. Guys like Nick Lyman that cranks out Jets content, a little more indie, in a bit more of an indie way, starting up, without that following of, being known before. But yeah, this was sort of a blindside for a lot of people, and it takes us kind of right back to where we were on that fateful morning in February. But just wanted to, I mean, obviously everyone's talking about it in the chat, but mentioned from us here at WST who have been through this before, thinking about everyone that got pink slips today, and think about what you're doing with your money when you're dealing with either of the big boys that unfortunately we really don't have much choice to deal with in Bell or Rogers here in this country, who do not care about you. They only care about the bottom line.
Yeah, and I think you said it best. It's not that you can't make money. It's just not enough. And in a world where you have to, look out for shareholders and share price and all that, that's the main factor. Are you making enough? And, if you're making, you're spending too much, well, then, they don't like that. And, yeah, Bardo says, I already boycotted Bell after they closed 1290. If I boycott Rogers, where do I go? Well, you can't go anywhere. There's only two places. Telus is around, but go wherever you get the best deal. Look out for number one, yourself. And I will say, the craziest part is, and, they have Sportsnet 650 on X. That's got 27,000 followers. Sportsnet 960, 17,000. I'm sure they got other social media accounts. And I remember being so disappointed that Bell just closed like the 1290 Facebook account that I tried so hard to grow. Tens of thousands of followers across social media, and just to shut it down for nothing. You can't have someone making local content there. You can't find a way to monetize that. I don't believe that. So disappointing. And they put out some statements.
We know it's not true. Yeah, we know it's not true. We're proving it every day.
Yeah, and you said the other guys in Edmonton, Jason Gregor and Dusty with their businesses, Nation Network. I mean, there's ways to do it, but the big corporations, they do not care. So disappointing.
Yeah. As I say, we'll maybe get into this. Kind of funny. Rewucki's coming on with us today. Another orphan of 1290. So we will touch on that. But we're going to get into some hockey topics and more. But Remo, I guess you probably did not see what just happened in the World Cup. I know you knew that Argentina was down 2-0 with about 10 minutes left in that game, didn't you?
I was getting ready for the show, putting some notes in about, UFAs and Cole Perfetti filing for arbitration, some comparables, and I got the alerts on my phone that Argentina was down 2-0. I was like, whoa, holy shit, I guess this game's over. And then you came on and told me that not only did Argentina come back and win 3-2, they didn't even need extra time to do that. They did that in regulation. So that's unbelievable. And I'm sad that I was too lazy to go get my tablet and put it on and was just working away over here.
Messi got in on the action. I mean, it looked like it was an absolute disaster of a flameout against the lowest ranked team remaining in the tournament in the Egyptians. But a little more Messi magic. And, we saw Neymar's World Cup career come to an end earlier this week. Then it was Ronaldo. He's done. The way Messi's playing right now, I don't doubt that he potentially could be back for another one, but I would say it's unlikely. So a little more history made for the Argentines. No night game tonight. I don't know. I guess probably this is more for Europe right now that we're getting into this point of the tournament. But yeah, an 11 a.m. start for the game that we just watched from Atlanta. And then a 3 o'clock start this afternoon for the Swiss-Colombia game, which would have been Canada's game if they had won their group and won their first round. I did see an incredible tweet here a minute ago, Remo. This, of course, is being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. How nice of Egypt to pay respects to the Falcons' 28-3 choke in Atlanta, of all places.
Yeah, oh my God. I got to see, the probability of Egypt winning that game. 10 minutes left, 2-0 lead, and they lost 3-2.
Got to be 98, 99%.
That's wild. That's pretty tough to do, Huss. So Argentina, I mean, they're defending champions for a reason. Had the nail biter game, earlier. So crazy World Cup, and very, very entertaining so far.
It's your boy Bruce drops this one. Messi, first player ever to score in 9 consecutive World Cup Finals appearances. That is something else. Anyways, if you just jumped in a little bit late, we're just talking about some big industry news today with the shuttering of the sports stations for Rogers. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. It's close to home for all of us, considering what happened with TSN 1290 in Winnipeg, which on the bright side did birth our new home at Winnipeg Sports Talk. But and the one thing was, this wasn't just the sports stations. This was, I think, about 6 or 7 news stations as well. So a real bloodletting today. We'll get into that Cole Perfetti contract and what it might look like with Brandon when he joins us a little bit later on. We'll also get into the Sea Bears. Dennis Bernstein's going to join us, though, in just a couple of minutes. Do want to thank, it makes these sponsor reads, I think, even more important today, knowing that we're not doing this without the support of so many great people and enterprises here in Winnipeg and Manitoba that have supported us. And again, it's a thanks to all of you for supporting our sponsors from day one, making it worthwhile for them to partner up with Winnipeg Sports Talk. And it's companies like Cleanline who do so much in this community, supporting the Bombers, the Winnipeg Jets, and Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, Cleanline is the most reliable and residential and commercial plumbing experts around, and the most trusted plumbers in town with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. And they've got you covered 24/7 with emergency services. They'll call and head to you whenever you need it. Remember the number 204-500-2001. But for more information on Cleanline or to make an appointment, hit them up on their website at cleanline.ca. Manitoba Battery is another one that's been with us for a number of years and sort of like a match made in heaven. We got a lot of people like that, are out in the boat or on the dirt bike or ATV. And Manitoba Battery's been that local option where you can save the money, keep it in our community, save money, beating the pants off the big box stores when it comes to price with the best in customer service as well. And that's why Manitoba Battery's grown the way that it has. Now 2 locations in Winnipeg, Logan Avenue, Dover Court Drive. Batteries for literally everything at the best prices in town with the best in customer service. They'll even deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter if you can't make it down. Pop by and see them in store or shop online, manitobabattery.com. And big thanks to the guys at Rollies. They've been with us for years. They are the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. So if you do have a move coming up in the next summer, fall, make sure to holler at the guys at Rollies Transfer. If you go to their website at rollies.com, you'll see request an estimate. Click on that and put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And then let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to be moved. They'll turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that Rollies has been famous for over 60 years. For your next move, make it Rollies, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online over at rollies.com. All right, let's welcome in our pal Dennis Bernstein from the 4th period. Now, the free agency has settled down a little bit, but still lots to talk about in the NHL offseason. DB, what's going on? How was your 4th of July weekend?
It was good. I saw Dodgers, Padres. I sat in the home run seats in left field, actually, right over the left field fence. I didn't catch a home run ball, but it's been good. And winding down the season. I told my wife last week, I'll be done. There'll be nothing this week. So I've had like 3 appearances in 2 days. But I do want to echo your sentiments about the cuts at 960 and 650. It's the media business is changing, and you were subject to that back in the day, but you adapted, and I think that's what the people in Calgary and Vancouver, the media people, probably will have to adapt and get to the information to the fans through a different medium. But it's a tough day when you read news like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Some really good people that we've been on and worked with for many years.
Yep.
That are going to be turning it around. So appreciate that. Hey, have you? You're down there in LA. You got the nice seats. Did you go to any World Cup games?
No, I'm not going to that madness. Although, as much as I like the Stanley Cup playoffs and I love the Stanley Cup playoffs, Hustler, this friggin' World Cup is unbelievable. I mean, these games are just – the worst game was the U.S. game. There's one team that didn't show up all these – it was the U.S., but no, I'm not going to the World Cup. Now, maybe the U.S. was playing here, but you could imagine. I think the get-in price in Seattle was $1,700. I looked on StubHub, so it's a couple of. It would have been a couple of grand. Obviously, it's less, but no, because of the traffic and then the craziness. And I do this 10 months out of the year, so I want to break from crowds and stuff like that. So, but it's been phenomenal for us in the States here because it's certainly raised the visibility and popularity, I think, of the sport, despite them not showing up against Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they got their asses kicked last night, and there was all the controversy going into the game with the Balogun red card and who stepped in and how that all happened. And that's really the only blemish on what's been, I think, a World Cup that overall has been incredibly beneficial for the host, but especially with the USA, with a lot of the things that I think people were thinking about and apprehensive about coming overseas. I mean, we've seen so many good stories coming out of it, but certainly that was a nightmare for U.S. soccer last night against the Belgians. But Dennis, I mean, I was so excited when Remis told me you were coming on today because it was Friday afternoon, right towards the end of the program. when we got the news that Philly had fired a nuke at the Anaheim Ducks. You're, of course, down in Southern California. You've covered this team for a long time. We're now, 4 days in to the new world for the Anaheim Ducks? How much of a disaster is this for Pat Verbeek right now? And first off, what was your reaction when you first got the notification? Oh my God, 18/5 signed with Philly.
Well, we were in Buffalo for the draft, Hustler, and Dave Pagnotta came to me and says, I've heard that Philly might drop a huge offer sheet on Leo Carlson. So I went on the air with Coolius and Tony Granado. I said, watch out for an offer sheet. So we were a little ahead of the curve, and we had told some people, and they text me back, hey, wow, how the hell did you know this stuff? So, but when it finally came down, look, the Flyers just didn't make an offer, Hustler. Like, they forced Anaheim to choose between financial pain and losing its current number one center. Like, that's a tough decision to make. But when you trade McTavish, I don't think they have an option at this point in time. So it's stunning. It's a new age in the NHL with players taking more control. And, if you listen to Elliot Friedman, you heard that what the numbers were going back. Nobody thought 18. Nobody thought 18. So, and not only that, so they're paying them, $39 million over the next calendar year with the signing bonuses and the way it's structured. Like, it's a very difficult pill to swallow for ownership. And look, the Ducks ownership are Samuelis. They own Broadcom. They're billionaires. Can they do this? Yeah, but it's difficult even for a billionaire to write a check for $39 million over a year for one player. So it was stunning. I think we'll see more offer. We did see another offer sheet with respect to Barrett Hayden. So I think that GMs are starting to see the light because free agency's a dud now, Hustler. So how do you acquire talent? You do it through drafting, but that's going to take 3 to 5 years, through trades. And now I think there'll be advent of offer sheets will be more, not less, going forward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you still have to have 4 first-round picks.
You do. Yep,
and you got to be willing to give those up. And I would suggest there's a pretty small tier of players that would be worthy of the 4 first-rounders, which at a certain point that they're going to be making is the return for it. I mean, to me, a lot of this was completely avoidable. And it falls on the desk of Pat Verbeek. And, for our listeners, Dennis, I mean, fill us in on what the reputation of Verbeek and the Ducks have been. I was reading the Athletic poll, and the worst front office to deal with consistently was the Ducks. It seemed like, he was a big line in the sand guy, would grind as much as any in the league, and it seemed like it sort of came back to bite them.
That's the key word, grind, right? They grinded McTavish. Before that, Drysdale. Before that, Zegras. So they went, at some point in time, the chickens come home to roost. That's what happened. Like, and it happened to the worst possible player with respect to losing that player. He's irreplaceable. And also, do you really think they would have traded McTavish had they known this was coming? I think they would have held on to him, try to fix that, and then move him. And if they had to lose Leo, at least they had McTavish to plug in that spot. Right now, if they let Leo walk, who do they have their top centers? Granlund and Paling? They're not gonna make the playoffs with those two guys. They're forced into that. But they had that reputation of grinding people. At some point in time, you don't want to grind anymore. If you're Leo Carlson, maybe I don't want 18 million, but I'm not worth 10 or 12. I'm probably worth 15. And he had somebody believe he's worth that even more, so he chose to sign with that team. And now, if he comes back, what happens to the chemistry in the room? You have a guy making 18 million, you're going to expect him to get 2 goals and his 2 assists every night, right? And what does that do to Beckett Seneca? And what does that do to Carter Gauthier? Hey, I might not be, maybe I'm not worth 18, but I'm not worth 9 if Leo was worth 18. And the same thing with Beckett Seneca. There's a price to pay for hardline negotiations, and the Ducks are in the midst of it right now. It's too early to see how it spins out, because what happens with Leo, and then what happens with Carter Gauthier, who can't be offer sheeted because he doesn't have enough experience. So, the reputation, sometimes it's good because it saved you money, but on the back end, if you lose this player, you don't have a replacement for him.
How much of this Listen, first and foremost, Leo Carlsson is going to be a superstar in this league if he isn't already. I totally get why a team would make this sort of bet on Leo. And he's one of the few players, as I mentioned, that you'd be willing to give up the 4 first-round picks. He's that good. There's also Cutter Gauthier, who needs a new contract.
Yep.
And assuming that they match with the deal that they had to sign Mintyukov with, there's not going to be enough money to get Gauthier signed. And as you mentioned, he doesn't have arbitration. He can't sign an offer sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a situation for Danny Briere and the Flyers that they were either going to get Leo Carlsson, or if they didn't, they were going to get an incredible amount of revenge on a guy that screwed them and demanded his way to Anaheim?
I don't think it plays out like that. And remember this. They traded Zellweger to Buffalo, and he signed for 3 and change. You could have had that player and let Mintyukov go for 7. Is Mintyukov working $7 million? Not the way he plays defense. So that's a question mark right there. So the entire structure of Anaheim is screwed up. I don't think it's a revenge factor. I really don't, because that was the organization against organization. This was player against organization, and they chose to move on. They got a decent return in Drysdale. He's not, certainly he's part of the core there in Philadelphia. But I don't think
feels like a bit of a bonus for them, because the aftermath of this is the guy that is going to get squeezed right now in real time.
Yeah.
Is Gauthier. I mean, that $13 million deal, like, it's just not there for him. Well, let me ask you this. Like, let's say Friday comes, they match. What happens with Gauthier? Because we already know he's turned his back on a team already.
Yeah.
He had 41 goals. It's not like the guy hasn't done the job in the National Hockey League. He's coming off an ELC. He expects to get market value, and the Anaheim Ducks cannot pay that market value unless they move out some big-time players.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They have to trade Killorn or Kreider. Then they'll have to move. And plus, remember, Custer, you go 10% over the cap. So that's 100. That's 10 million right there. But you have to get back down to 103 or whatever it is. So they're going to have to move out a veteran. They have to. They don't have the ability to do that. And yeah, Gaudier's not going to accept a $5 million deal, 1-year bridge. If he's going to do a bridge, he's probably going to do 10 or 12 million. And you can't fit that. You can fit it now, but in 2 months, you can't fit everybody. So yeah, I got to think that one of these, and probably Vetrano's going to go as well. And he's a useful player, even though Q didn't really like using him that much. Right. So I think you'll see probably maybe even 2 players have to go. Vetrano's a no-brainer because you can probably get a conditional pick for him. And then you have to decide either Kreider or Killorn. And those guys have modified no trade clauses. So you can't just trade them anywhere. There's a lot of tough work to do for Pat Verbeek and the Ducks right now.
Lost in all of this is just how devastated their blue line already was.
Yeah.
Like, from last year in that playoff run, Trouba gone to the Sharks, Carlson gone to the Lightning, Gudas gone to the Panthers. That's the entire right side of their blue line, Dennis, that has not been replaced.
All unrestricted. They went for it. And that's the argument for maybe not going for it and maybe not having all that aligned and seeing, well, because if you're a GM, if I'm looking at the depth chart, I'm like, wait a minute. We've got 3 guys. I know we're going for it. 3 guys unrestricted at the end of the season. And they have a couple of replacements. The Luneau kid and Hines, they just signed as well. But it's not comparable. And you're right. Like, even if they solve all those problems, they're not as good on the blue line as they were last season. Right, they've got a couple of untested players back there, so it might be a situation where you're getting like Edmonton. You have all that talent up front, you don't have enough on the blue line, and you lose games 6-5. Like, this team could definitely lose games right now. The way the depth chart's constituted, Hustler, they could lose every game 6-5 next season. That's not really hyperbole. Like, they're going to score a lot of goals if they keep Carlson, but they're going to give up just as many. It's going to be difficult for this team to build to a team that was as good as the one that got to the second round this past season.
Dennis Bernstein, the 4th period with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. I'm not sure whether you've spoken to any other executives, but what are you hearing, and how is this move going over in all of the other front offices around the league? Because it really does seem like it's a dam-breaking move by Philadelphia that has ramifications for every team in the NHL.
Well, you saw the genesis of it last season when Armstrong offered Holloway and Broberg. So you started and say, okay, and what do you think? I'd trade my grandma if I had to. At some point, Costello, you got to be ruthless. You got to be aggressive. This is a ruthless move. I don't think that other GMs are upset about it. I think they respect it more than be upset about it. And now they got to think, hey, if I have the ability, maybe not to the extent of Leo Carlson, but maybe a lesser player who's in the $8 to $10 million range, like Barrett Hayden. Like they could get him, and they need him for not much, right? So I don't think that's an issue because again, there's still a hard salary cap, right? But it just looks at they have to reinvent how you build teams, Hustler. You're not going to be able to do it in free agency anymore because it's going to be more cap space next year. So any guy except for Leo Carlson, you should be able to keep. The problem with the Carlson thing is they had a year to figure this out. Like, and they had
done it easily.
Yeah.
I mean, so this, I have to ask you, does Pat Verbeek survive this?
I think he does, but it depends on the outcome of the team next season. I think I don't think it's a fireable offense. We don't even know. Maybe next Saturday, after it's not matched and he walks away and they get 4 draft picks, so I don't know what's going to do with him. I'm not going to find a player to replace him. Maybe at that point. But what I know of the ownership, they're very patient. So I don't think that it would be a cause for. And remember, this ownership decided to bring back Joel Kenville, and in some places he wouldn't be the coach. He would not be an option, but they chose to make an unpopular option going with Q, and the team responded, obviously. So I think they're patient. I think they'll wait for the outcome of next season to do that. I don't think in the moment you're going to fire the general manager.
You know, I'm not sure I agree that I think there's going to be many more of these offer sheets. In fact, I think there might be less because if you look at the double offer sheet from St. Louis to Edmonton, and you look at this situation, the reason why these things happened was because first the Edmonton Oilers and then the Anaheim Ducks left themselves wide open for this to happen. Like the numbers that they were going back and forth on Broberg and Holloway, deals that they could have gotten done, like the asks of those players, were far less than what they ended up getting from St. Louis. Yep. And it never would have come to that point. And, you know, as they talked for the last year with Leo Carlson, like certainly at one point there was a time where 12 or 13 would have probably gotten it done.
Sure.
Even at this point, the 15 ask, you get that done, you're good for 7-8 years. Now this is 5 years at 18, then have to re-up. Like the domino effect on the Ducks cap is going to be felt for years on this, regardless of what they do. And to be honest, Edmonton never really recovered from the way that they managed those two. So, I mean, if anything, I think you're going to see NHL GMs, first and foremost, do everything they can to avoid leaving themselves wide open to get blindsided the way that these two teams have been.
Yeah, but GMs are trying to. So the solve on not getting offer sheeted would be to lock up your young players quicker, right? But now if I'm a young player, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get offer sheeted. So why wouldn't I wait and see? My restricted free agency runs out. I'll go to market if I like what I see in an offer sheet. I'll go back, because if you're a player of any consequence now, you are subject. You would be a target for free agents for an offer sheet. So you might be right, Hustler, right? But it depends how aggressive teams want to be to give out contracts like the Mindikov contract or the Jackson Lacombe. You know, they made a choice, Hustler. They gave Lacombe $9 million a year on term when he's not really a $9 million a year player yet. So they've done that before. Right, so they valued Lacombe more than they valued Leo Carlson. It's a simple, and they value him more than any other. Same thing with Cutter Gauthier. He's the one that got the money, and he got $9 million. So they did it. They just didn't anticipate the level and the want for the Philadelphia to go be that aggressive. So you may be right with respect to that, But I still think it's TBD because I don't think you can lock up every single player, young player. There's going to be some underachievers there, right? So then what do you do? Like, you can't target like 4 young players and say, oh, we're going to overpay them and then go forward. Unless the cap's going to 150 million, and maybe you can do it then. But everything's changing so rapidly, Hustler, right? That, look, right now in the moment, Bo Byram's the highest paid defenseman in the league. That's going to change. But you see how rapidly it changed. If I told you that 12 months ago, he was telling me I'd be day drinking before I came on your show.
Dennis, I guess the other part of it is that, teams have the right to match. So, they sort of have to be in a situation where it's incredibly painful to it. How does this affect Connor Bedard's status right now? Do you think that there's any worry in Chicago that they might be up against a similar offer?
Well, you can't say zero worry now. You can't say 0%, but you don't nothing come out of Chicago says there's any disconnect between player and team. So look, do I think he's going to get 18 million? No, probably gets 15 million. I think he'd be happy with that. He's a low key kid. He doesn't really say much, and you don't hear any chatter about that. Right? So I heard the chatter about Carlson a couple of days before it happened. Maybe it comes out now, but I don't get that sense the same thing happening in Chicago. They have to be aware of it, and I hate to say this, but at the end of the day, Leo Carlson might be a better player than Connor Bedard. He might be the next Kopitar or the next Barkov. You have to surround Bedard with more talent. I think Connor Bedard is more concerned with the players around him than getting paid top of the market, like 18 million. So he'll accept 14, 15 million. And towards that end, they went out and got Bo Byram. And they think he's going to be a number 1 defenseman. They have to make more moves. And they made moves last year, with veteran players, but it didn't work. Davis is under pressure to make this team better, not because he's worried about an offer sheet for Bedard. He should worry about a situation like Dylan Larkin, when you continue to not win and then you ask out.
Larkin, Hellebuck, the 2 guys that apparently want out. Helly has a much wider list, was going to go to Buffalo. That didn't materialize. What are you hearing on either of those situations? And do you think either of those players will have a new home by the time we drop the puck in October?
I think it's more likely that Hellebuck goes than Larkin goes, because Stevie Yzerman's going to dig in his heels. Like I already said, you want a 14 trade list? I'm not trading. Can't happen. I need the right deal. I need the right team, and you got to work with me on that. Same thing with Hellebuck. Chevy's going to work with Helly. If he wants to go, he can go, whatever. I think that's more likely. I just, because of the personality of the GMs, and, it will be a lot harder on Stevie Yzerman if Larkin left. He's from Michigan. He grew up there. He's the captain. He represents a lot of the good and unfortunately bad for the last decade in Detroit. But that type of move, that's it. And the other signal is, you guys did sign Skinner. You're not signing Skinner. You should think the guy's going to go. He's not the same. Obviously, he's not the same, right? But I think that's more likely that Stevie Yzerman just waits it out and plays the long game. I'm not sure Chevy will do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that there's going to be an offer. If the one thing that we know with Cheveldayoff is he's not trading his best player for 3/4 for $1.
No, you can't. No,
there will be, and it sounded like things got somewhat close with Buffalo.
Yes.
Whether they circle back. Is there any other teams? Like, we've heard a lot about Buffalo. A lot of people suggested New Jersey, but the more we look at, I'm not sure whether that's a Sonny Meta style of signing. If it's not Buffalo, who makes sense for Hellebuck that might be able to pay the Jets' price?
Yeah, it would have been Florida, but they solved that problem. New Jersey? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't have a team for you at this point, right? Maybe it comes off. Maybe you go into the season with Helly, and the first big injury to a prominent goaltender, maybe that moves the needle. I think that the targets, and I agree with you on New Jersey, the places he would have landed, and the other one would have been Toronto, but Bob's there. So look at the chessboard, Hustler. What's the move? What's the chess move? Where do you put that piece? Where do you put the king of goaltenders? I don't have a spot to put him in there. So he may, like I said, I think he's more likely to go. but he's just as likely to start the season in Winnipeg at this point in time because Chevy can't. You're right. The one thing you can't do is sell him for less than market value. Like, you got to get a legitimate return. This guy's an impact player. He could win team a championship. And maybe, and I don't think it's right now, but maybe Colorado, maybe, because I'm not sure, the two Woods over there are going to win them a championship, right? Wedgwood and Blackwood, is that going to win them a championship? You put Hellebuck behind that team, they better win. That would be the all-in move. I'm not sure the trade that would be had. So that's the type of scenario where you're in season and you make a move because you think you're a contending team and it's not there. But right now, given where all the chess pieces landed with respect to other goaltenders, I don't see a good landing spot right now for Helly, other than Buffalo if that gets, regurgitated.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess maybe there's something you could do with Utah, like with Colorado. I mean, they've traded their next couple first-round picks. I mean, they've gone all in on
you want players back. You don't want futures, right?
Most of them have trade protection. Yeah. They're probably not looking to go from Colorado to Winnipeg. It makes it a very difficult needle to thread for both general managers, and I think that's sort of why it might be a little bit more of a waiting game for Mr. Hellebuck. DB, what are you guys? Is it a little quiet time for the fourth period, gang? Or are you guys still cranking out a lot? Surely you get a little bit of time away from Sirius XM NHL Radio and the site. Well, I think we just lost Dennis. Well, what a amazing way to end it. Dennis is always great to have on the program. You can check out the fourth period for more on that. We'll hook up with Pagnotta at some point. Brandon Rewucki is going to join us in just a few minutes. Do want to thank Princess Auto for their great support of WST. They have been phenomenal to us since the first month on with us, and as we've continued to grow, so have they. Of course, Princess Auto Stadium's going to be rocking on Friday night, but the brand new Princess Auto flagship store at 500 Panet Road is rocking 7 days a week. Pop in, check it out. You can grab a burger, a beer, free ice cream for the kids. You can check out the massive new hunting, fishing, and camping sections. Maybe even do a little work while you're there in the shop. See it for yourself, the brand new Princess Auto, 500 Panet Road. And, of course, you can always shop online 24/7 at princessauto.com. The gang out at Chud's Power Sports ready for summer. Of course, Chud's Power Sports has been Manitoba's power sports superstore for over 80 years. Located up in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, Chud's Power Sports has the best in new and used vehicles, including motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf courts, boats and outboard motors, RVs, Argos and Polaris off-road vehicles, and so much more. Amazing financing options, great promos. And if you go to their website at chudspowersports.com, click on that True North Parts link or the e-commerce store and find amazing clearance deals on gear and accessories. When it comes to power sports, nobody does it better. It's worth the trip up to Gimli. Go see the Derminator and his gang, or shop online today at chudspowersports.com or give them a call, 204-642-8555. A big thanks to Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Vital Dental for their support of WST. Folks, if you're looking for a great dental clinic to take care of you and your family for the long term, go to St. Vital Dental Center, as generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans have done. We've got a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building, and they're taking care of clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a wide array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. St. Vital Dental Center and Dr. Terry do it all. See them online, stvitaldental.ca. Make an appointment and tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And, hey, folks, if you want to still get your World Cup kick in at Boston Pizza, we do have an afternoon game, 3 p.m., 1 hour from now. Switzerland and Colombia in the final round of 16 game to set the quarterfinals. Canada may be out, but BP remains your World Cup headquarters with great prizes to be won, awesome promos and specials. and the big game on all the big screens with big sound at your local Boston Pizza. Staying at home to watch the game? Order online at bostonpizza.com. All right, let's bring in Brandon Rewucki from Skates and Plates. Rew, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just got back in yesterday, so back into the swing of things. Yeah, interesting.
Have you heard the sports media news today?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, this will take you back to an infamous day. Rogers just clipped Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. Both rights holders. Vancouver will still broadcast the games on some other station, but everyone working there is basically done. Oh. And I'm just gutted for Steinberg and Logan Gordon and some friends over at 960. There is no plan as to where the Flames games are going to be broadcast, as they bought the rights and now they're just saying, we're not doing this anymore. And a lot of really talented people out of work, which of course we know a thing or two about. Yeah. Back to Feb 9 of 2021.
I was going to say, yeah, this is firsthand experience. I mean, I have condolences to everybody out there, because I mean, we lived it where it's like, you do everything right, and the powers that be have differing opinions on how to run a business, which doesn't necessarily equate to the talent level that is doing a lot of the grunt work and the hard work for them. So that's horrible to hear. I mean, it's I get the media landscape is changing, specifically with sports, but it just doesn't feel right, man. Like I get it. Like I get things are changing. I mean, you guys obviously know that with a big, 180 from how things used to be, but especially when it comes to calling the games, like it feels like there still needs to be the fabric of at least an audio version of it, whether it's for people driving in the car or whatever they want to use it for. It just bothers me that that's being, at least in Canada, and I mean a lot of other places, but it's just being ripped away. And I think it's something that's really important to not only sports, but just like the country in general. Like I love it. I think it's great. And it's just another sad day when, like you mentioned, a lot of really good people, through no fault of their own, are let go from the calls from the higher up. And as you
know well, a lot of really talented young people that have been taking way less than they're worth, that could be doing a lot of other things, but they believe in it. They've got dreams of working in the industry. And I mean, for all those younger people, the opportunities seemingly are closing if you don't do it yourself. And listen, there's a lot of talented people there. I'm sure there'll be some similar pop-ups of some pretty successful things like Blake and Matt have done with Sakaris and Price, and obviously like Winnipeg Sports Talk and Edmonton Sports Talk in the aftermath of it. But I knew you'd be interested to hear that, because we'd kind of thought that the stations that were safe were the ones that had these broadcast deals.
Yeah.
And as Rogers completes their sale of MLSC, paying $4 billion yesterday, I guess that comes at a cost, and it's the humans that are actually employed by these stations that have done so. Figured we'd get to that. Listen, I want to get to some Jets talk and Perfetti with you in just a minute, but this segment is brought to you by your Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma with the standard I-Force engine, boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Now you can lease a 2026 Tacoma from $110 weekly at 5.69% APR for 60 months with $70.99 down. I want to get into Perfetti for a minute, but wasn't it fun last week following the Jets and development camp and the genuine sense of excitement that Vigomania has brought to the pit?
It's crazy, right? But and this is the funny thing. he's been doing this against men. Like this shouldn't. Maybe some people are surprised, but you really shouldn't be. Like, we saw it take place at the World Championships. We've seen some of the highlights from his work in the Swedish league. Like, this is just what this kid does. But I guess it does validate, right? Like, when you talk about every team's prospect pool, there's, if you're lucky enough, you kind of have like a crown jewel, then like a secondary tier where, you're hoping that they become significant contributors for the team in the future. And then you have your third tier where it's guys that fill out the farm team and maybe can grab a spot near the bottom of the roster. But you really want your crown jewels to stand out in a big way. Doesn't mean that if they don't, as an 18-year-old, they're destined for failure, but it's a much more comforting scenario to go through. And that's exactly what we saw, where like with some really good young players in the Jets pool, I mean, Vigo was in a class of his own. It's just like there's levels to this. And so I it's early. You don't want to make bold proclamations on an 18, 19, 20-year-old's career from the work that they do in late June, early July. But having said that, it does, I think, validate the Jets made the right choice at number 8. And he's, again, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Don't be shocked if he's a Winnipeg Jet this year. And I think maybe the most comforting thing outside of him playing as well as he did and showing as well as he did was Chevy's comments. Just strictly, he's a center, period. That's exactly what you want to hear. Because to me, that's why you draft him. You give him the opportunity. He's held his own against some pretty big names so far early on in his career. Let's see what he can do. And who knows, maybe it's for 60-plus games in Winnipeg this year.
Well, Remo, if we now I can't see these clips, but this is from yesterday when we were talking about what Elliot Friedman had. Remo, do you have the one on Vigo potentially playing this year at the 2C position out of the gate?
So there were a couple ones we played yesterday. You were asking about Perfetti one. I have that, and then we have the one where he's talked about youth being important for their bounce back. Did you want that one?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I want to get to. We'll play that, and then we'll get into the Perfetti. So this is Elliot on the Jets from the massive 4-hour 32 Thoughts.
It's youth time. Lambert, Rosane, Solomonson, and he played well at the end. He'll be hurt. He won't start the year, but it looks like it's his time. I thought Ferraro was a really good signing for them. I think he was the kind of player that they could use. Again, 2C, still a big one. I wouldn't be surprised if Bjork is given a chance to show, is he in any way ready for that? Jaeger, they've kind of talked about that. I mean, they've got to plug it from within. It's going to be a different team. They signed Skinner. I thought that was a really interesting signing.
2, 1.
All right, so that's Elliot, and listen, he's very, very plugged in, and for him to be saying it's youth time, and to the point, like I said yesterday, I thought Vigo would probably make the roster at the start of the year and see how things would go, but I kind of assumed that they'd start him off playing, fourth line and maybe getting 8 to 10 minutes a game, but I mean, when you see what he's done so far against men, how well he performed, and obviously training camp will be a big test going up against top players, and the lack of other obvious alternatives, we might be seeing the Jets do a complete 180 in what they have done historically and give the keys to an 18-year-old and say, go get it.
Which is, I mean, that's interesting on a few different fronts. I mean, one, when I hear that, I go, I'll believe it when I see it, because it was just last year that Chevy said, if I'm a young guy, I'm excited for the opportunity ahead of me. And we all know what happened with veteran stopgaps being brought in. There wasn't really an opportunity, and I get it, there's extenuating circumstances, but there's a part of me that's like, let's see it before I dive fully on in there. But it is interesting that, like in the past, it's not like the Jets have shied away from that before. Maybe not 18-year-olds as much, but we've seen it with 19-year-olds. But like Patrick Laine, albeit a second overall pick, thrust into a prominent role right out of the gate. Nikolai Ehlers was not, not too far after he was drafted in the top 10, given a pretty prominent role with the organization right out of the gate. Jacob Trouba shortly after his brief stint in college. So like they've done this before when they feel like somebody's legitimately ready. So I it's an actual possibility. I think you just need to kind of wait to see how he performs. But I mean, I'm more along the lines of to me, Bjork's options this year, it's either second line center in Winnipeg or it's top line center in Sweden. And like I just don't know if there's a ton of value for him playing 8-10 minutes a night, in the bottom six.
No. I mean, to me, that would be a temporary thing. It's like, okay, you kind of see where it goes. But listen, I'm all for it. At this point, without other options, and you mentioned, like, they didn't sign those veteran stopgap guys. There's no Gus Nyquist signing. There's no Tanner Pearson signing. It is seemingly the goal of the organization to fill this internally. And fortunately, with the way things worked out at the draft, they got a guy that fits the bill to do exactly that. Chevy's also mentioned Braden Yeager by name a few times. Now, was pointed out by our pal Nick that maybe we shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves here, because I certainly remember the name Ville Heinola being brought up by the general manager a number of times. And now listen, when it was the most was when he had those terrible injury problems. Like, this wasn't just always coach's decision for Ville. He had some terrible luck that probably derailed him at particular times, and then other guys went in and got the job done, and that spot wasn't there. But this one really does feel different. And man, Brandon, if out of the gate they've got a guy that can give them a hell of a lot more than they've been getting these last couple of years, regardless of what happens this season, it'll be a huge win for moving this team forward, because nothing's happening until that problem gets solved. And if you can solve it with a young man under team control for 7 years, you're a heck of a lot closer to ticking off the box that has been unticked for a long time here in Winnipeg.
Well, and I mean, look at the prices that are out there for guys down the middle right now. I mean, Mason McTavish has obviously the draft pedigree, but the production hasn't backed that up, and you still see teams willing to give up 2 first-round picks just for the allure of potentially being not even a top-line guy, but just like a second-line guy for the team, right? So, and then we get into the whole no trade clause discussion. Like, you just see how it is a pretty unattainable target for the Jets to acquire externally from the organization. So I'm okay with that. I've made this point before, Huss, and we saw it happen in the playoffs for 4 rounds at a Stanley Cup. It still kind of baffles me that the team hasn't given Cole Perfetti or Gabe Vilardi a shot down the middle. Carolina did the exact same thing, where they couldn't find a guy to bring in, and they gave Logan Stankoven a chance, and it changed their fortunes forever. So nothing's a guarantee. If there were easy decisions to be made, this team would be in a much better position. But I mean, I'm okay with the overall idea of let's try to solve this internally first before we decide that we need to kind of maybe potentially go all in. But I would say it shouldn't just be shoehorned into let's have the 18-year-old figure this out for us. Like, maybe there's an option that you have on this team already, and then you're not placing the weight of the world, so to say, on the shoulders of a kid like that. So there's options there for the Jets. I'm not totally sold on Braden Yeager being part of that equation, but it does seem like the Jets are maybe cognizant of the fact that even if they'd like to, there's nobody externally coming in to fill that void anytime soon.
Well, listen, I mean, if Yeager can, if you had Vigo at 2, Yeager at 4 behind Lowry, with Barron moving up either to Lowry's line, potentially into the top 6 as a winger, I think you're ahead of the game. I mean, I guess you can kick it down the road and play Vlad there if you want. But I mean, both Vlad and Nino are interesting situations because they're both going into the final year in their contract. They both had miserable seasons last year. You can certainly make the argument that the team is better served with young players in the lineup over those guys. I would make that argument next season.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, do you want to have some veterans on the club? Yeah, guys get hurt. I mean, you want to have around. But I mean, to me, the priority, if a guy like Jaeger shows that he can hang on a fourth line, that's where he needs to play. And you can figure out what you've got with those other players. If there's a need somewhere else, if you can get something for them, great. If they hang around, fine, be good teammates. But like we heard from that clip, I mean, the time is now to see what you've got between Lambert, Rosane, Vigo Bjork, Braden Jaeger. We need to graduate some guys to come in and hopefully get better performances for the majority of them in the National Hockey League than they have with the Moose, which is maybe a whole nother conversation that we should get to. But Perfetti is the guy. Obviously, he applied for arbitration, which should not surprise anyone. I see a couple of people in the chat maybe concerned, can't believe that he did that. That's what everybody does. It sets a deadline for negotiation.
No offer sheets.
I would be, I would be surprised if that went. But here's a clip, Remo, if you want to grab that one. This is from Elliot on, Perfetti standing with the Jets as they get into negotiating a new deal.
Perfetti, I think that's a huge priority for them. He filed for arbitration on Sunday. I think they want to get that done. You know, the Jets as a team, they've kind of moved the line a bit contract-wise. They can grind, sure, but you look at Kyle Connor last year, they gave Kyle Connor the kind of contract they've never given anyone before with the bonuses and the big number. So they, obviously Cole Perfetti's not going to do what Kyle Connor did contract-wise, but I think they recognize he's an important person, and I think they want to show that.
That's good news for the Perfetti camp. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure that they were there. I mean, if you'd asked me coming out of last season, I thought there was actually a pretty significant chance that maybe he would have been dealt as they look to, shore up a few other spots. But the bottom line is if he's not there, then you got another opening in your top six. Knowing that he's, applied for arbitration, it is going to give a deadline, and, we'll be talking about this more often. But coming off a season, where he was really hampered by that injury at the start of the year, came around a bit in the second half, maybe not a great time for Perfetti to dive in on a long-term deal. But again, they can't kick this can down the road much longer, Brandon.
Yeah.
I know the number that we had heard would be in that kind of 5.5 to 6.5, 4 to 6 range. I mean, do you think that this gets done with Perfetti on a longer-term deal, and where would you estimate that ends up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. I think, especially moving forward for the Jets and a lot of other teams, but specifically Winnipeg, you have to lock up talent. Mm-hmm. Like you cannot let them get close to free agency. You can't let them do the Nikolai Ehlers thing. And I say that too because, with free agency becoming more and more of a dud each passing year, there's a lot more cost certainty involved where even if you are totally convinced that any player you sign is going to be, a high-end piece or a long-term member of your team, are you not better off just signing them? Whether it's 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it might be, it's very easy to move them after that. Like we're seeing teams paid good prices to acquire talent, but it's most important to have that talent on your team. So I think it may not be a direct fallout from the Nikolai Ehlers situation, but I just think the Jets realize that, there's such a lack of high-end offensive gifts on our roster outside of our top line that we need to have Perfetti in the fold in the immediacy, and then we can decide if it's going to be something that's, going into his 30s. So, I mean, I think anywhere from 4 to 6 years I think that's pretty reasonable. I think from Perfetti's side and I mean, most athletes' side, if he's offered $5-6 million a year, whatever it might be, I mean, that's $30 million is pretty hard to turn down, guaranteed. And like you said there, sure, he would like to have come into this negotiation off 80 games and maybe 60 points, but maybe you're willing to sacrifice some long-term profitability for some security, and knowing that you'll be just okay having 30 mil secured in the bank moving forward.
Our Remis has got some great stuff here for it. So our pal Dave McCarthy tweeted out that Perfetti's agents are looking at Igor Chinnikov as comparable. He signed a 3-year deal at 6.25 AAV, and he's going to be a UFA at age 28. I don't think the Jets would have an appetite for a contract that short. I think it would be a minimum 4-year deal, but probably more like 5 or potentially 6. Now, if you're looking at recent NHL comparables, Wyatt Johnson, Nyes, Peterka, Lafreniere, Gunther, Matt Coronado, I mean, all had significantly stronger offensive numbers than Perfetti entering their negotiations. Probably the closest comparable of those players is Coronado, who got 6.5 AAV, but on a 7-year deal. And we just pulled up a couple of the models, like the 2 public contract models project. Evolving Hockey saying a 3 to 4 year deal between 5.4 and 5.8. I'm with you. I think the Jets would be more than happy on going on the other side of 6 if it meant longer term. And AFP Analytics, 5 years, around 6.4 million. To me, that's the number that probably makes the most sense to the Winnipeg Jets. And I guess we'll find out how much the Perfetti camp wants to try to keep the term short and how that works out in the negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years, 6 to 6.5, somewhere in that range. I feel like that's reasonable for both sides. And again, it doesn't make the contract prohibitive to trade. If you're Perfetti, you're making good money. You've got the security. I mean, the kind of intriguing part with once you lock down Perfetti is, if you have intentions on making Viggo Bjork your potential number 2 centerman, is who's going to be the winger opposite Cole Perfetti in that potential lineup, right? Like, all due respect, I don't know if you want Cole Perfetti necessarily being the veteran piece on that line. Like, you might, that's where, maybe instead of trying to secure that second line center, it's okay, can we find who's the best winger we can find to help insulate potentially a youngster down the middle there. So I'm not sure which piece or move happens first, but I think that's also got to be in the back of the mind for the Jets here, is that yes, Vigo's an option. Yes, Cole Perfetti is likely to be a long-term member here, but let's set these guys up for success, right? As opposed to, again, trying to find a veteran stopgap on the roster to fill that spot, or maybe a youngster that just isn't quite ready for that prominent of a role.
Gabe Vilardi moved up and down from that top line to the second line when they wanted to make a change. I'd have a lot of time for Vilardi getting on that line with a Bjork and Perfetti if they were going to start those 2 younger, smaller guys on the left. And then you're looking for someone that can go with the dynamic duo of Scheifele and Connor. And, maybe maybe that's a spot that Morgan Barron gets a run at or something like that. Like a guy that can go in fast, can win battles, can get pucks and get to those guys. Part of the success of that line when Vilardi's been on is that he is such a dog in those battles. And I mean, part of the reason why I think when he's been available, they've gone with Iafallo, because Iafallo does similar things. Do you lose a little bit of offensive potency? Absolutely. But if you are looking to add more to that second line, you're going to have to find someone that will get the enviable spot of playing a lot with guys that get quite a lot of opportunity from the head coach and really drove the Jets offensively all last season.
Yeah. And as we've seen, it's not just let's put our 3 best guys on a line and away we go here. Like, if you could spread the wealth, I mean, that's going to set your team up well, but also to have different dimensions on each line, right? Like, I think Barron could be a nice fit there. And is he going to put up as many points as Filardi? Obviously not, but could he potentially have the line chemistry-wise be in a good spot? It's certainly doable. I mean, that's also the thing when you talk about the Jets' just forward composition as a whole. You know, Elliot Friedman mentioned, you know, giving Lambert a chance here, giving Rosane a chance here. There's a lot of forwards kind of in that same ilk, right? Where you don't really have, not that you need Tom Wilson per se, but there's not a lot of, you know, big rough and tumble guys that the Winnipeg Jets currently have on their forward core. So can Barron elevate himself to like a middle six piece on the wing? Maybe. I'm okay with giving it the chance to see. I mean, they should have been doing that last year for over half the season. Like, I think he deserved more opportunities down the middle on the wing, and maybe we would have a better idea of what he can or can't do. But I mean, just more creativity is what I'm looking for in the line combos, Huss. I just can't. We can't have the same rigid 12 forwards 95% of the year going into this upcoming season here. So give guys chances, allow them a little bit of rope to try to make mistakes and see who can fit and who doesn't, and maybe a straight goal. Like, Jets could use some luck, and sometimes you got to put yourself in a position though to get some of that luck to come your way.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And the best thing that could possibly, like, you imagine if Brad Lambert had an amazing camp and found himself on that top line or something like that allows you to have that. I mean, those are the wins that the Jets are going to need. As far as toughness, I'm with you 100%. I think this team, we're seeing the premium teams are putting. Like, look at the VL contract, Russ Johnson. I mean, it will come a time that if you're going to compete, and certainly if you're going to get to the playoffs, you're going to need to beef up a little bit. I'm not sure where that player is, other than, of course, Tyrell Bauer. And we didn't get a chance to see him in the NHL last year, although we thought we were going to. He, of course, got hurt at the end of the season. What do you think the chances are that he's like a seventh defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets and gets the odd start this season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's possible. I know that. I mean, we know the Jets like to value that toughness and physicality, you know, further down the depth chart for them. You know, when I think about, you know, trying to add a different element for the Jets, I actually think they need it at the top of the roster. Like, I think they need to. I've maintained this for 2-3 years now. I think they need a big physical piece beside Josh Morrissey. I don't know if having your 6-7 defenseman do that ultimately solves some of the issues we see with this team. And I think the same up front, where, like, you know, you could certainly have, you know, a fourth line where, you know, you have Nino maybe as a big, you know, physical piece and two other guys, but like, I think there's more of a need for that on the first or the second line. And so that's kind of the issue there, because guess what? Every other team is essentially looking for that. I think that's why a guy like Matthew Nyes was so sought after, because he's a bit of a unicorn in that sense, where you can have a power forward deliver the skill, but also the physicality there. So it's possible. I would like to see them kind of set their sights a little bit higher, though, and be like, where's the guy that we can throw in there that can play 18 to 20 minutes a night and delivers that, as opposed to the fringes of your roster being difficult to play against.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm with you on that. I'm just like, if you're going to have a guy on your roster because they're tough, like, let's have a killer. And,
yeah.
And we got one. We'll see. And again, hasn't gotten NHL minutes yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the preseason. And if he does find himself in the mix, maybe not in the top 6, but on the roster, certainly be a hell of a great guy in the room. Everyone loves him. He'd fit in well, and, you know, has certainly paid his dues.
Yeah.
As much as maybe anyone in the American League. Hey, just before we go, did you see the end of that soccer game this morning?
I did catch it.
How did that happen? It was 2-0. It was over, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes for Messi, and it's a completely. I mean, this might go down as not the best World Cup ever, but legitimately one of the best sports tournaments of all time. Like it's just. I think the worst game so far has been Spain-Portugal, and that had a 90th minute winner in it. You know, like it's just been the stars have been starsing, and the games themselves have been just out of this world good. So it's just like more and more, right? Like you want it to keep coming here,
Hey.
like it's not slowing down with the teams in it.
Hey, one more for you. So last night, I'm sure you watched USA Belgium. The third goal, which was as a result of the goalie, is that the most embarrassing goal in an elimination round of the World Cup? I mean, he did the full Young Hui coup. Remember when Koo was trying to kick a field goal and put his foot in? That happened last night in the freaking World Cup. I could not believe what I was seeing.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the worst, but it was the most satisfying. I'll say that. That was elite level hate watching, and I think we all enjoyed the ass whooping Belgium put forth last night. So it was it wasn't the prettiest game, but it might have been the most enjoyable of the tournament.
There was a lot of people around the world I think enjoyed it. Brandon, listen, great stuff. Thanks for doing this. Let's chat soon. Have a great rest of the week.
Beauty. Sounds good. We'll talk soon, guys.
All right, good stuff. There's Brandon Rewucki. Check out Skates and Plates wherever you get WST. All right, we're going to go talk some hoops. Big game coming up for the Sea Bears. Coach Mike Raimbault is going to join us in just a minute. Canada may be out, folks, but we are getting down to the real good stuff of the World Cup. 9 teams remain. It'll be 8 after Colombia and Switzerland play. While you might be putting the Canada gear away for a bit, if you are looking for gear of some of the other teams in the World Cup, Royal Sports is your World Cup headquarters. They've got the official World Cup ball and so much incredible merch from the world of soccer. While you're there, check out the soccer, baseball, softball, basketball, tons of bikes, running shoes, the best selection in town. They really do have it all at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's #1 sports superstore for over 50 years and your World Cup headquarters. Pop by and see them, 750 Pembina Highway. Follow them on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information over at Royal Sports Winnipeg .com or Instagram, I should say, at Royal Sports Winnipeg. The Fish are home this weekend, starting a series on Friday night. It's boy band night for all you fans of boy bands. Should be fun. Fireworks on Friday. They got the Saturday night happy hour game and then a great family day on Sunday. Make your plans to get out to the ballpark and take advantage of Manitoba's summer. goldeyes.com/tickets for information and everything you need to know to get into the ballpark to see the Fish. And just before we talk Sea Bears, I know it's summertime. A lot of people are on holidays. If you're planning your next adventure, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. And if you prefer a personal touch, stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. All right, Thursday night, Canada Life Center, the Sea Bears continue their great season against the Edmonton Stingers, and it's a special Space Jam 30th anniversary night. The team will be wearing some special edition Space Jam uniforms. Let's welcome in the coach of a team that we hope will look like the Galactic All-Stars on Thursday night. The Sea Bears. Mike Raimbault joins us now. What's up, Coach? How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, and man, it has been fun watching your squad sort of build throughout the season. 10-5 right now? It seems like it's been a real good stretch. How are you feeling right now about where your squad is right now as we kind of get to the 3/4 mark of the regular season?
Yeah, I think we've put ourselves in a pretty good position. I mean, obviously, we want to continue to try to control our own destiny. We're in the heavy stretch of the season with a lot of games coming up here in July. So, for us, we want to hopefully build on a little bit of the momentum that we've got so far.
you have such a unique perspective, I'm sure, on this team, being part of the staff in previous years and now taking over. When you brought this team together this year, what were your goals? What were you maybe trying to change, improve on, and how would you feel the team is right now as far as trying to build a team that can compete for a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many moving parts that go into putting the roster together. So for me, going through it for the first time, obviously having some great help in terms of, having Alex Campbell and Megan Noonan help to piece all of the things together and sort of teach me as we're going through. I mean, we wanted to have great people first and foremost, and I think we've done a really good job of that. High character group of people, and we have a fairly veteran group and mature, and I think that's shown in some of our play up to this point. And we hopefully just can continue to grow and get better. We're going through as you go through the season, you learn a lot of lessons, and there's a lot of things that maybe don't go your way, and you want to try to learn from those situations and be a little bit better next time they pop up. And I think we've done a pretty good job of navigating the ups and downs so far, to this point of the season.
Mike, there were certainly some ups and downs with Teddy Allen's previous time with the Sea Bears. Tell us about the decision to bring Teddy back, and how is he a different, maybe not necessarily player, because he was always lights out good, but it seems to be like he's far more a part of the team right now and doing everything that you'd hoped he'd done in coming back for a second chance here in the Peg.
Yeah, Teddy's been phenomenal. I mean, I think going all the way back to coming in a week before training camp so that him and I could spend some time getting on the same page and he could get some extra workouts in. I mean, he's done everything that we've asked him, as the coaching staff. Hey, here's what we need you to do today. Here's the challenge today. We need you to do this. I mean, obviously, he does get a lot of notoriety for his ability to score the basketball. But if you look at, some of his statistical numbers in terms of rebounds and steals and assists, he's basically, doing a little bit of everything. And I mean, his will to win is certainly something that has trickle down effect to the rest of our group.
One of the amazing things about the CEBL and the Sea Bears in particular is the ability to provide opportunities for Canadians and local products to play professionally. We've had Simon Hildebrand on, a number of times. We see Emmanuel Cut. Just for people that maybe haven't seen the team, tell us about some of the local products and their contributions to the Sea Bears' success so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you mentioned Simon and Emmanuel. I think both of those guys are integral to what we've been able to do. I mean, Emmanuel Acott in particular, we ask to basically play every single position over the course of a game, to defend every single position. I think he's such a selfless teammate where, you might look at the box score at the end of the night and, he's got 10 or 12 points, but he's contributed in so many other ways, a handful of rebounds, a handful of assists, a steal, a block. And what he's done at the defensive end, he's just such an important glue person for our group. And, at any given moment, we're asking him to shift his focus and do something new. And he's just so versatile. And I think, it's probably flying a little bit under the radar what a tremendous season he's had. I mean, he was absolutely awesome in Edmonton the other day. He was playing great. He had a little bit of an ankle injury that set him back, but he's getting his legs back under him again. And he's certainly a huge part of our group and the way that we want to play. And, I mentioned Teddy's leadership a little bit. He's also a guy that, we're asking to lead by example.
I know Mason Krause got in, was the hero earlier in the season. You're getting some bench minutes from Kyler Filowich. It is, I mean, this is a team that does have, a number of players that, grew up learning the game here that are making big time contributions to the Sea Bears night in and night out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mason has sort of taken on a small role and turned it into a bigger role just by continuing to work and be ready when his number is called upon. He's a tremendous defender. We ask him to go out there and chase some of the best guards in the entire league around for stretches of time, and he's done a great job. He's proven that he can, contribute at the offensive end by stand still, making threes and moving the ball and making some plays. And you mentioned Kyler again. I think, similar to basically everybody, when you're on a talented roster, there's a level of sacrifice that goes into being on a team that has championship aspirations. And, he's a guy that maybe hasn't played as regularly, but in the spurts where he's been called upon, he's been, impacting our ability to win games. And we know that he can get in there and play with major toughness at any given point. And, he continues to stay ready. And I think, those types of examples by the locals are, it's a testament to how important the team is to the community and, what it really means to be a part of it. And, that's something that none of us are taking for granted.
Hey, Mike, I got to ask you, I mean, it's a unique position that you're in because, of course, you're also the steward and the head coach of UW with the Westmen. How is it working, especially right now as you get ready for the youth sports season? I mean, is there enough hours in the day right now, or is it an incredible opportunity for two complementary jobs that in one ways the Sea Bears almost helps you in some ways get ready for the U of W?
Well, I think it's a great question. I mean, obviously I continue to spend time at the university. I mean, we're still practicing a few evenings a week and getting our group together. And I'm trying not to look at the calendar and think about how soon it is we're actually starting our season. We have a couple of Division I games that maybe aren't announced yet, but that we'll be playing very quickly after the CEBL season wraps up. So, we're in the ramp up stages for starting our season over there. And I think for me, I just look at it as opportunity to continue to get better. It's like, if you're a great shooter, you need to be in the gym shooting the ball every day. If you want to get stronger, you need to be in the weight room and getting reps. And for me as a coach, I'm so fortunate to be in the situation where I am, where I get these repetitions and opportunity to, coach these games and be in these situations. And, I've learned so much in the last number of months, from trying to put the team together to getting through training camp to this point in the year. It's such a invaluable opportunity for me to continue to grow and get better. And I'm very, very fortunate.
Well, it's working. I mean, the squad's top of the table right now in the West, 10-5 going into this game Thursday night against Edmonton. You were just in Edmonton on the weekend and squeaked one out by 2. Tell us about the challenge awaiting you in the old home and home. Sometimes it's tough to beat a team twice in a row.
Yeah, it certainly is a big challenge. I mean, for us, it would be, we're trying to beat them for the 4th time of the season here. And, that's obviously a tall task. They're really talented and well-coached group. I mean, they'd been on a bit of a streak themselves coming into the game the other night. So we know that, it's going to take our best game. And we've had a couple of close ones with us, with them previously. So, we looked at some of the things from the other night together as a group today. We got tomorrow to get some stuff a little bit tighter. And, for us, we hope that we can go out and play our best game of the season so far.
Hey, I just got to ask you, I as a fan, I absolutely love the Elam ending or the target score, whatever we want to call it. I mean, you've coached a lot of hoops in both. What do you prefer? The traditional or the target score? And is there potential to grow the target score to, leagues like U Sports?
Well, the target score is certainly more exciting. I mean, I think if you watch some of the games when there's a lead and, time and score and the coaches have a little bit more control of managing how those games wind down, which do I prefer? It's hard to say. I think as a fan of the game, the target score, I mean, can't be beat in terms of the entertainment. As a coach, maybe there's part of me that wishes I had a little bit more control at times, because it gets crazy and everybody gets all ramped up. And, there's a lot of things that are happening, and it really does become a player's game, and they have to make decisions and they have to make strong choices as a group out on the floor. And lots of times they probably can't hear a word that I'm saying, so they're out there trying to finish the job. So it's hard to say which is preferable for me as a coach, but I certainly would say that the target time, especially in our arena with our home fans, I mean, there's absolutely no better bang for your buck in terms of entertainment.
Well, hopefully those fans will be going home happy on Thursday night for the Space Jam 30th anniversary night, and we'll see a Sea Bears team, and we'll be on Friday talking about an 11-5 team. Just before we go, importance of finishing the season strong, the benefits of first place. Just give us a bit of an idea for people that maybe don't understand how the playoff works. What's the goal for the rest of the way for the Seabears?
Yeah, I mean, I think our goal internally would be to continue to improve and get better. Like I said, we'd like to play our best game of the year, on Thursday night, and we want to continue to build on what that sort of top end level of production looks like for us. We want to continue to stack experience and be ready. But I mean, really, we're playing to hopefully have a home playoff game and position ourselves to be at home as often as possible in the postseason. And we feel like that's again right now within our control. And if we can continue to be in control of our own destiny, we will.
Great stuff. There's, I think we just lost Mike Raimbault, but great stuff for the Seabears right now. Appreciate Mike jumping on with us. 10-5. The game is Thursday night. Again, it's the Space Jam 30th anniversary games. They'll be wearing special edition Space Jam uniforms. The jerseys are available for purchase, as well as adult tees and youth tees will be available. WPW, Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, will be performing pregame from 6:30 to 7 and at halftime. And the pregame party with food trucks starts at 5 p.m. in True North Square. They'll be handing out free clappers. Doors 6 p.m. Tip-off 7 p.m. for your Winnipeg Seabears. If you haven't checked out a game, highly, highly recommend it. It is an absolute blast. And I do agree, target score is the best. You're always getting a walk-off one way or the other with the CEBL. We're going to bring in Jake Bowen-Moss in just a minute. Do want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake for their great support at WST. Of course, Aikens Lake is a world-class fly-in fishing lodge where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, including a short flight. And when you get to Aikens, you'll experience world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from the Aikens team and the Turenne family. Go to aikenslake.com for more information on availability, anything remaining for the 2026 season, and now booking well into 2027. Tomorrow, Patty's going to jump on the program with me to get ready for the Scottish Open, which will precede the Open Championship. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on that throughout Thursday and Friday with our Breezy Bend golf reports. Huge thanks to Breezy for their support of WST over the years. If you are looking for an amazing golf membership at one of Winnipeg's top private clubs for you and your family, check out breezybend.ca or talk to Corey Johnson at 895-7205 for more information on the amazing Breezy Bend. All right, Jake's going to join us in just a sec. First up, speaking of great supporters of ours, let's crack a cold one and cheers our great partners at Manitoba's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's bring in JBM from our great partners at CoolBet. Jake, it's funny. We've worked together for a long time. And, today I'm sure you heard the news that Sportsnet 960 in Calgary and Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver got whacked today. And presumably all those people are going to be going on to do new things. It's made me that much more appreciative of yourself and Pat and Ange and everything that we've been able to do together with Winnipeg and Winnipeg Sports Talk, and of course CoolBet. So a big thanks to the squad for everything you guys have done as we look forward to many more years together. How are you today, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, Huss. I mean, obviously no one can really speak to it better than you. I mean, you were in a very similar situation in Winnipeg and what you guys have been able to build with WST and Remo and Connor, Liss. It's been really, really impressive, and you continue expansion. Obviously, we try to help you guys as much as we can to allow that to happen. And hoping everyone obviously that was impacted today lands on their feet, and maybe we can have a hand in helping some people get back into it, similar to how we helped you guys get back into it.
Well, you guys certainly have been.
We started working together.
As I say, I mean, we're. I kind of said at the start, this is just a day that sucks, and I'm just gutted for all those people having been through it ourselves. But I will say that, hopefully maybe some of those people can see what is happening here. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it would not be possible without, everyone that supported us and you guys right at the top of that list. What else is making me a little sad right now is the fact that I think after this game, we're only going to have 7 more matches in the World Cup. I don't even want to envision what life is like without the World Cup right now. It has been so much fun for the last 3 weeks. But I will say this, we're about to get to the real good stuff in the quarters. But how about that match this morning? I still cannot believe what Argentina pulled off.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's bittersweet, Huss, because we are getting near the end of it, but we still continue to get bangers. Maybe last night you didn't think Belgium USA was a banger, but guess what? For all the people rooting against the Americans, it was an absolute banger. That goal, that the U.S. keeper kicks into the Belgium player and winds up in the back of the net, and you see the reaction online from a lot of the American fans. I definitely got a kick out of it. I was pretty happy to see that they got just as far as Canada did. So, but let's go to Argentina today. Absolutely incredible game. Egypt, for those who weren't watching, Egypt took a 1-0 lead early on. Argentina was pressing pretty hard from that point on. And then in the second half, the counterattack from Egypt, they actually produced a second goal, Huss, before the one that ended up counting. They went back, looked at it on VAR. It's called a foul that happened prior to the counterattack that led to the second Egypt goal. That came off the board. Then almost identical situation happened again. Egypt counterattacks one more time. Same guy who scored, what we thought to be the second goal actually scores the second goal that counts. And then Argentina was really behind the gun. In the final 10 minutes, they find a way to score not 1, not 2 to tie it for Lionel Messi, but 3 goals. Third one coming in stoppage time. Yeah, an absolute electric game. Argentina seems to only play bangers, especially their last 2, one against Capo Verde and the one today against Egypt. Defending champs move on. You got to beat the best to be the best, and Argentina is still in this tournament, and a pretty solid path going forward. They're going to play the winner of Switzerland, Colombia tonight. And then it would be the winner of England, Norway to get to the final. So, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. But like you mentioned, Huss, not too much football or soccer left in this World Cup, but really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no night game tonight, no game tomorrow. What are we going to do with ourselves? I will say I was diving into the CFL lines while keeping an eye on the game, and it was like 79th minute, 80th minute. It was 2-0. And I went over to Clua and I saw that Argentina at the time was plus 1850 to win. And I kind of joked as if that's going to happen. And sure enough, it did. One of the great historic comebacks in World Cup history by Argentina. For anyone that's about to tune into this Switzerland-Colombia game, I can't decide. So I'm going draw. If we're not going to have a night game, give us 30 minutes of extra time and a little bit of extra drama. So just got in Switzerland-Colombia draw plus 192. But let's take a quick opportunity to look at the odds to win the World Cup right now, Jake. Here's the way things are looking right now at CoolBet as we get ready for this Swiss-Colombia game. France is the favorite, pretty clear favorite right now. It was plus 190. It's now at plus 186. The Spanish, who I don't think have looked particularly good throughout this tournament.
No.
They're at 4-1. Argentina, who just survived their scare, is at plus 450. plus 525 for it to come home. England. And then there's a gap. Norway 14-1. Colombia, interestingly, 25-1. Belgium and Morocco at 35-1. And the Swiss at 65-1. It's hard to fade France right now, Jake. But if you had to put a little sprinkle on somebody other than the French, where's the value on this board in your mind?
Yeah, listen, Huss, I'm a sucker for it's coming home.
After Sunday night, I don't know how you couldn't be.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Jude Bellingham scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes, and then having a crazy game against Mexico, winning in the Azteca, the red card, and having a really hold off Mexico for the last 30 minutes of that game. It's a lot of fun. Rooting for Harry Kane, rooting for Bellingham. The problem with England is they always find a way to choke. I've been on this team before, in the most recent Euro, or maybe it was the Euro prior to that. They just find a way to not get it done. And that's the concern, right? I mean, they haven't won a major trophy since, I believe, 60 or 66. I can't remember the exact year, but they're like the Leafs, Huss, to be honest with you. A crazy, rabid fan base, people that believe truly that this is the year. And every year it seems like heartbreak for this team. So, maybe I'm a sucker for the storyline. At some point, you think they're bound to break through. They are talented enough to get it done. At 525, Huss, I think I'd probably get a piece of England here in the final 8. They're going to take on Norway on Saturday. Norway,
dude,
they keep chugging along with that Erling Haaland, man. I mean, what a game. That second goal he scored against Brazil was unbelievable. He kind of just cruised, put the ball on his foot, took one touch, and just pounded it to the back of the net. So they're going to have their hands full with him. But England, I think up and down is a great lineup, and I think they can get this done. As good as France has looked, I think there's some value in England at 525.
I'm with you. I think I'm going to get a little piece of England too now that my Canadian squad is out, and I have to figure out who I'm going to be supporting. I'll tell you what, though, I've been thinking about this a lot. By the way, why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? Now that Canada's out, we're down to 9 teams. Who are you rooting for? Like who's your team to win the World Cup? Let us know. Let us know in the chat. I think Holland might be the biggest alpha on the planet. Like, I'm trying to compare any other pro athlete to like the aura that guy has. Like, there's a lot of great superstars in a lot of other sports, but the way he scores and then just smirks at the camera as some little guy jumps on his shoulders and points at his head. He's the man. I mean, it is hysterical, but for a team, and he had never been in the World Cup before, for them to do what they've done and then, beat Brazil in the fashion that they did. This Norway team is no joke, and Holland, obviously, king of the Premier League when it comes to scoring goals. He's disappointed a lot of Man U fans in the past for Man City. He has the opportunity to disappoint an entire nation and remind everyone he's the best at the same point. That is going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal match.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one, Huss. When I saw that matchup rolling in on Saturday, I couldn't be more excited. We also have McGregor returning to the Octagon, hopefully. I don't know, some rumors today online that he might be trying to back out, or I don't know, Huss. I'm not heavy into the UFC space, so I don't want to get on here and speculate on something I don't know a whole lot about. But yeah, there's obviously some talk. Is he going to fight? That he canceled his after party, and there's a little bit of concern there. But hopefully, we're rolling from England, Norway into an Argentina, Colombia maybe, and then some McGregor Holloway into the evening. It's shaping up to be a big Saturday, Huss, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, there's a little bit of speculation, it seems, on this, but until it's from the mouth of Dana White, I'm sure they'll find McGregor, for what it's worth right now at Coolbet, a plus 185 underdog against Max Holloway. Holloway minus 220. That is coming up this Saturday, and I'm hoping that we'll get our pal Aaron Bronstetter on over the next couple days to set the scene for the return of McGregor to the octagon. I should give a little update. Felix Auger-Aliassime's in a war right now with Novak Djokovic. He lost the first set in a tiebreaker, 12-10. Bounced back with a win in the second set, 6-3. Lost 6-3. They're on serve right now in the fourth. So this is up to our guy Felix to win this set and get it to 5. If you want to get on anything live on Felix, who opened at plus 152, plus 385 right now on Felix. And the Joker, for his part, minus 400. But Felix still in a spot. I mean, if he can get a break here and win this, the young legs, Djokovic hasn't played a ton. Maybe this could be his day. Patty and I are going to jump into Scottish Open tomorrow on the program. Obviously, odds right now up at Coolbet for that, and the Open Championship as well, where Scotty Scheffler, no surprise, is the favorite. We should mention, Jake, there's a couple big things going on. Poker tomorrow, your second qualifier for the Coolbet Open in Estonia. 3 dates remaining to finish in the top 2 and get a ticket to the final. The winner of the final will be taken care of, flown out to Estonia, put up in a nice hotel. You'll be in the main event at one of the top European poker events, and you'll have quite a bit of fun while you're there as well. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. is qualifier number 2. Top 2 finishers will both get tickets to the final. That's July 8th. The other dates, if you can't make tomorrow, you just want to mark them down. Tuesday, June 21st, and Wednesday, August 5th. Those are the 3 qualifiers remaining. And the final will be on either the 11th or the 12th at a similar time. And you've been out there before. I mean, that trip, from everything that Ange and Patty have told me, it sounds like that's a week in Estonia that people will not want to miss, both for the poker, but also everything else surrounding it.
Yeah, I think every time I come on here, I kind of explain it. Like, Estonia might not be top of your, bucket list destinations, but I think you get a chance to get out there and see it. It's very old Europe. There's a lot of history there. People are proud to be Estonian. People are super nice. And to get out there in the summer, I haven't got a chance to go out there in the summer, Huss, but from all of what I hear, it is beautiful there. And it'll be a great tournament. So yeah, if you get a chance to go, if you end up winning the big qualifier, that's going to be a big one. So yeah, get in tomorrow night. I got some reminders rolling out this evening on the socials, so keep your eyes out for those. But the poker is tomorrow night, like you mentioned, 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock Eastern, and then the CFL. Huss, I don't know if you saw my bounce back week. I did have 25 points this week in the Week 5 CFL. And I just want to say, on the topic of the CFL, before we get too crazy here, I think you could genuinely jump in still. Like, I know I say that every week, and I know I work for Coolbet, so obviously I'm trying to get people jumping into the league. But you look at a week that Connor had. Connor had 35 points this week. The leader right now overall for the tournament has 100. You put together a few good weeks, 3-4 good weeks, you absolutely jump back into this tournament, because there's no guarantee that the guys at the top of the tournament are going to continue to rack up points, because no points are guaranteed. Take it from a guy who's had 0 and 5 in back-to-back weeks, followed by a 25-point week in Week 5. There's absolutely opportunity to still get in if you want a piece of the CFL prize pack, a chance to go to the 113th Grey Cup in Calgary. So yeah, I'd say, obviously I see some people have already jumped in this week, got their picks in, but if you haven't got it yet, I'd say don't be shy just yet, because there's still plenty of CFL football left in the regular season and still plenty of opportunity to catch up in this race for the Grey Cup experience. From
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Ted Light too, who remains on top. He's got a 10-point lead. He's at 100 points. Skins 44 is at 90 in second. Rob Pepper, Izzy, and Great Par are 3, 4, and 5 at 85 points. Connor Rabchak, with his big week, vaults into sixth place, tying with, I believe it's Darren Bombing, who was in first for the first 3 weeks. They're at 80. And don't look now, but the Huss also had a 25-point week. I'm in eighth right now, tied with Big Hands in Canuck City. And there's a long, long ways to go. The key was I had the BC game, and I had the right amount of points for Edmonton. And that takes your 5-point win to a 15-point win. So if you can do that a couple times like Connor did, you can have a big, big week. The games, Ottawa at Edmonton, Argos at Bombers, Stamps at Montreal Alouettes, Hamilton and Saskatchewan. And again, you can find that in the promotions or under Coolbet League under sports at the bottom of the bit. You know, before we go, Jake, I may as well, we did CFL 110 this morning, which of course is presented by Coolbet. Check that out, everyone, when you can. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Pop in a comment with your favorite pick of the week. This is the way things are shaping up right now for the week in the CFL. We have, wait a second here. I'm looking for the games. It starts off with Ottawa and Edmonton. The Elks are 6.5-point favorites. The Argos are 2.5-point favorites in Winnipeg against the Bombers. I'm taking the Bombers. I can't compute being 0-3 at home. That can't happen. So we'll see who's playing quarterback, but I'm going to ride with the Bombers in this one. Game of the week.
Bombers squeak one out last week, eh, Huss?
Dude, did they ever?
We got on this program and we're talking about all these points and we're like, points, bet the overs. And the Bombers come through with a 14-13 win. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, and the fact of the matter was, like, the first game of the week, there was 94 points in the game. That was the first time they had an over 60, and it won by over 30 points. Obviously, a big part of that has been how great the quarterback play is. And when Caleros and Bo Levi Mitchell both got hurt, let's just say the backups weren't able to move the football as they normally did. This Calgary-Montreal game is going to be great, though. Saturday night, Montreal's a 3.5-point favorite. Calgary getting 3.5. And the total, here's a new high water mark for the season, 62.5 for the Calgary-Montreal game. And then Hamilton with either Ford or Dolegala going into Saskatchewan to take on the Riders. Saskatchewan is 8.5-point favorites. If you go over to the exclusives, you'll see the Winnipeg Sports Talk Parlay. This is the CFL 110 boost. We're on Edmonton minus 6.5, Calgary plus 3.5, and the Riders minus 8.5. This is a great boost, too. When I put that in manually, it was plus 581. The boys always take care of us. Plus 675 in the exclusives right now. So you can jump on that. We've got the PME weekly golf boost. He's got Tyrrell Hatton to win the Scottish Open. That one's juiced up to 40-1. Oh, and there's also a McGregor one, too. We were just saying that McGregor is listed at plus 185. If you want a piece of the notorious, go to the exclusives. We got that juiced up to plus 215. Always pays to check the exclusives before you go to make your play, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, Huss. We fired that McGregor one up today. We'll get some promo out for it later this week. But yeah, if you want a piece of McGregor, you know Saturday's going to roll around and you're going to be sitting there with your buddies and you're going to be like, I need a piece of McGregor. This might be the best number it is. I don't know, but just the way money comes in, if that McGregor number moves down a little just based on the money, then the boost is likely to move as well. So if you want a piece of McGregor, might be the best number you see all week at plus 215 in the exclusives right now.
Oh, it's all up there, folks. Again, WST Parlay is in the exclusives right now. Registration's open to make your picks for the week in the Canadian Football League. Patty and I will make the golf picks tomorrow, and we will have quarterfinal matchups to dive into in the World Cup tomorrow. There are 3 that are already set, I guess we should mention. France and Morocco. France is the big favorite. Spain, minus 156 favorite over Belgium. And England, minus 108 against Norway, who's plus 315. We'll find out who's playing the Argentines at the end of 90 minutes, maybe more. 0-0 right now, Switzerland and Colombia. JBM, always great catching up. You have a good one, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. If anyone's got any questions, you know where to find me at either, Discord or Twitter or whatever it is. I'll try to get to you. And yeah, enjoy the week, guys. I'm coming for that CFL title. Listen, I'm probably not getting the trip to Calgary. We're gonna hand that off to somebody else, but I'm coming for the title no matter what. Because I was called a fraud a couple weeks ago, and now 25-point victory has me feeling a little bit better. I'll tell you
There'd
that.
be nothing better than winning the whole thing and having like second place get it because of the benevolence of Jake or myself.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Jake,
exactly.
have a good one, buddy.
Exactly.
Thanks again.
Thanks, boys.
All right, there is Jake Bowen-Moss. We hit the cool bet lines. Let's get Remis back in here. Remo, we do have to take a trip out to the track because ASD is back tonight. But yeah, pretty fun show. It's all going on. I'm sure there's plenty more online about the demise of the radio stations that we were talking about right off the bat.
Yeah, well, people are asking the opinion of other Vancouver hosts. I know Sakaris and Price were live with a heavily attended show, and Rick Dollywell, who was on TSN Radio, does Donnie and Dally. They're off, and people are tweeting at him, you guys need to go live. You got to do an emergency pod. And he just tweeted out, I'm fucking mad at Rick Dollywell out of Vancouver. So, like, it's, we had this here, so, we've kind of been there, done that. But, I mean, Vancouver is like a major city. Like, to not have that type of station when people are listening to the content seems weird. And Calgary, again, last year the Saddle Dome, and you're gonna not have all these people there. You're not gonna have your games produced by Sportsnet anymore. I don't know. It seems strange. Like, just to shut down, like, you have the brand, you have reach. Like, you don't have to. Doesn't have to be on radio. You could do something, and I think people would listen to the content as we've seen, but the delivery is just different now. But to just shutter the whole thing, lay everyone off, like, I can't believe it's crazy. They laid off over 200 people across 6 different radio stations.
Yeah, it's another dark day for what's left of radio here in Canada. Let's get ready for a little ASD action tonight because they are back at the Post at 7:30 p.m. tonight. And Remo, our last foray into picking was not kind to me. I was over in our last pick, so I need to find some winners today. How are you feeling going into our night of picking?
Yeah, I was really good 2 weeks ago. I think I won just about every time, but last week was not my best one, and I'm just finalizing my picks today. Gonna try and get back at it here, Huss. We'll see how it goes for me.
Why don't you start this? I'm just adding in a couple more of my selections here.
I'm also finalizing mine here, Huss. I'll give you my first one so far, though, that I have. If you want to just go shot, I'll do a couple, and then you can respond. Live racing Assiniboia Downs. I am on race. Race 2, Huss. As I get all this ready, race 2, I'm on horse 1, Del Vecchio to
Oh,
win.
Del Vecchio, yes.
Now, it's a bit of an underdog. Mechanic Susie, heavy favorite, but we've seen Del Vecchio before, veteran at the track. I am on Del Vecchio to win. And we just celebrated America's 250th birthday on the weekend. And I had to go with American Wit in race 5 to win as well, jockeyed by Antonio Whitehall. I'm on those right now. I got to do 2 others.
I've got. It's funny. It's funny you say American Wit because, you know, I love those Wit horses.
Yes.
I did put $2 a toonie on American Wit to win, and I also did a triactor box for that race. And I'm taking number 4, American Wit, along with number 2, Judge Oliver, and number 7, Banker Matt, for a triactor. And then I've got the program selections, or maybe it's the AI Smart Picks, race 4 anyways, 3, 5, 6, $1 triactor box, which probably won't pay a ton if it comes in, but seems like there's a pretty clear choice of the 3 horses for tonight. I got to add something in for race 6 or race 7. You got anything else to add to the card?
Yeah, I got mine in race 6 and 7 as I'm just finalizing it. Race 6, let me bring this up here. I've got an exacta box 1, 3. Truthful Skies with Big Bad Bertha. Finish first, second in any order. And in race 7, I am just riding with the chalk program selection, AI Smart Pick. They're the same, 1, 3, 7. Inform, Brannigan, and Gallant Oak. Those are that's my card for tonight.
Nicely done. Race number 7, I am going with a toonie on number 4, Diamond Concerto.
Nice.
And then my final wager was in race number 6. And that wager is I'm on Big Bad Bertha as well. $2 exacta box, Big Bad Bertha number 3 and number 7, Moonshine Boogie. All the picks made at hpibet.com, which you can play there and watch on YouTube. But the best way is to get out to the track and see him in person. Post time, 7:30 p.m. tonight. And don't forget, next week, they'll go Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm making plans to get out there on Monday for the Wiener Dog races and a great night. And, of course, they've got all those great concession promos as well on Monday nights at the track. Good stuff tonight, Remo. And now I just have to look forward to the second half of Switzerland-Colombia, but also figure out what I'm going to do tonight without a World Cup game to watch. I'm already lost. I've got anxiety because of it.
Yeah, well, you know, the Blue Jays having a pretty rough season here.
Oh, my God.
It was this time last year. Like, I remember Canada Day was the series against the Yankees, and they really rolled in the second half. And, you know, the Canada Day weekend in Seattle, did they not score a run all weekend? Or was it for 2 and a bit games? Like, it's been 42 and 49, 11 and a half games back of Tampa, negative 51 run differential. It's not going great after what was supposed to be a promising season for the Jays. And we do have Wimbledon. You know, it is 4-4 in the 4th set for Felix and Djokovic. So put that on now as well, as Djokovic is up 2-1, 7-6, 6-3, 6-3 for or 3-6, 6-3 for Djokovic.
Jays are in San Fran tonight, playing at the ballpark on the water. It's going to be Miles versus McDonald. And I will tell you that the Jays, I believe, are a slight underdog in this one tonight. Got to go all the way to the bottom for the late game. Toronto minus 118. The Giants minus 104. Good stuff today. Tomorrow on the program, by the way, if you haven't or you still want more, make sure to check out CFL 110. It's up on pods and, of course, as well on the YouTube channel with myself and Jeff Hamilton. Hammer will be on again later on this year. Tomorrow, this is great. Jonah, do I read that right? Jonah Siegel's coming on, Reem?
Yeah, Jonah Siegel, not Jonas Siegel. Jonah Siegel.
I said Jonah Siegel.
Yeah, I know you did. I know that you did, but I'm just clarifying from YYZ Sports Media. I've been wanting to have him on for a while. I figured this was a good time with the changing of the radio stations out there, but also Hockey Night in Canada, no longer going to be on CBC, and this summer, July 8th, a perfect time to have this conversation. So he's good to join, and we're having on Murat as well, who had Cole Perfetti filing for arbitration. I think we can get more into that. Development camp, he was there. Kyle Steeves from Canada Men's Rugby. He's a local product from Winnipeg. They're playing June 18, and we are giving tickets away to that. So winnipegsportstalk.com/contest. We have a couple items there. And we may have John Shannon sneak in as well. He was supposed to be Thursday, but asked to reschedule. So it should be pretty packed tomorrow.
Yeah, well, listen, it will be a banger. Patty will pop by, but we'll get Jonah Siegel, Murat, maybe a special appearance by John Shannon. And then Thursday and Friday, Dusty's going to jump on with us at some point on Friday, I think, before the Bombers and Ticats. We'll have a Hammer, Ed Tate, Kenny Weeb still to come. And as I say, hopefully our buddy Aaron Bronstetter. I want to talk more about this McGregor fight now that he's finally getting off his ass and getting back in the octagon, allegedly. That is going to do it for us. Again, our thoughts with everyone that is out of work today, courtesy of the Rogers Cuts in Vancouver and Calgary and throughout the radio division, especially the guys working on Sportsnet 650 and 960. We will talk a little bit more about that in the sports business segment, if you will, in media with Jonas Siegel. But a huge thanks to every one of you for allowing us to do this each and every day, and a sincere thanks to our sponsors who make it all possible. Folks, have yourself a great evening. Figure out what to do with no World Cup for 36 or 48 hours. And maybe we just get outside and enjoy a little bit of nice weather. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have yourself a great one. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a good one.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.